Well, anyway, I want to tell you this wild thing that happened one day. I'm very innocent, see. And I had come from this Midwestern place, you know. I'd been in the Army. A lot of guys would be flubbing around. We played softball and things like that when we were taking PT. And so I got no pass at all. And about 5 other guys with me, no pass. We had no passes. They weren't going to let us out. So we're fooling around, and there was a notice on the bulletin board that said, this coming Sunday, the New York Giants are going to be at the field where PT and the parades go on. They're going to be at the great big parade ground at the Ball Diamond on the north end, and they are going to play the post team. Well, I mean, you know, this is better than going down to the service club and playing ping pong. And, you know, and to me, the New York Giants are coming out. And, you know, to me, the Giants, when you live out in the Midwest, you hear about the Giants and you hear about the Yankees, honestly, I can't describe it. It's like hearing about Babylon or something. You know, it's just something, they come out of the East, the storied East, they club the Cubs into submission and leave. And, you know, nobody ever thinks about anything. They're not big, you know, just big. So I'm going to see the Giants, Ed. Little did I realize that I was going to meet something that I had couldn't possibly have comprehended living in the Midwest, where the closest you ever got to a major league ball player was like the second deck in Section 28, where once in a while you could holler out, "Hey, Luke! Hey, Luke! Hey, Luke!" That's about as close as I ever got to a ball player. Well, today I am standing on the field, and the bus is pulled up. I am there early, because I figure, you know, there's going to be a crowd of guys show up for this scene. Little did I realize how sophisticated and blasé Fort Monmouth was. So, I'm waiting. I figure, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning is not too early for a 2 o'clock game, because I knew that if you were, I better do this. Ted's getting the itch. We've got the Mandarin House here. So, we have the Mandarin House. And, oh, hey, one thing I want to make the point very clear about. About 9 of you people have been going to the wrong restaurant up and writing me. Yeah, I mean, this is terrible. There are about 19 restaurants up in that area, up along Broadway, between 102nd and 103rd that have the wrong name. These names all sound alike. Be very careful. Between 103rd and 102nd, there is a place called, are you ready? The Great Shanghai. Now, this is also operated by Emily Kuo and is a superb Cantonese Shanghai-style restaurant. And if you dig Shanghai-type food, which is a very special kind of food, I would suggest you try this one. Between 102nd and 103rd on Broadway. Got it? The Great Shanghai. Don't go to the wrong place now. And they get very mad because it didn't turn out the way I said it would. There are about 20 of them around up there, and it's the Great Shanghai. Got it? Okay. Well, now you want to hear old Shep standing on the field there at Monmouth? Let me describe the scene. It is Sunday morning, and there is something very milky and hopeless about Sunday mornings in the Army. If you know how, you know that funny feeling you get at home on Sundays, that feeling of kind of, oh, you know, and the papers are there, and people fool around, and they turn on the television set, and somebody says, let's go for a walk, and all that jazz, you know. And, well, in the Army, there is another element added to it. And it's the element that there is no walk you can go to. It's the element that it isn't even going to start to happen on Monday. See, that's the interesting thing about being a civilian. You always plan for Wednesday, secretly in your mind, that one day a great thing is going to happen to you. Well, in the Army, it's quite the reverse. You plan for a terrible thing that's going to happen to you. Someday it's going to happen. The worst possible thing, especially when you're in the war. I mean, you don't think in terms of great things happening to you. You think in terms of, well, now let's see, if I get it in the shoulder, oh yeah, that's the way guys figure. Yeah, that's a very interesting difference. So anyway, it's Sunday. You got the scene, and it's a kind of a cloudy Sunday, and I am there at 9 o'clock in the morning, waiting anxiously for the buses and all that to arrive, and I figure, you know, it's going to be a real fight to get into those stands. And there I am, and there's about 3 other guys, all from the Midwest, louts like me. And we're waiting. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And, getting up on that's the only time you can sleep in the Army. And getting up at 9 o'clock, you had to get up at 8 o'clock, get your thing. And nobody fools around the Army. You don't walk around in your T-shirt, You got to get up, you got to shave, you got to put on a shirt, all this jazz, So there I'm all dressed up in my little suitie, and I'm down there waiting and very anxious to see what's going to happen. The New York Giants are coming. Well, we wait. And another guy joins us from Minnesota or someplace. And we wait. It is now 11 o'clock, and we're sitting in the wooden stands. They have little wooden stands, little tiny ones, like they have at Little League games. A little wooden stand, see? And it's now 10 o'clock, and finally it's 10:30, and next it's 11 o'clock, and it's 11:30, and it goes on and on and on. And then I see pulling up back around the rear where they have the long sheds where they keep tractors and stuff. I see this big gray bus pull up. It's an Army bus. It's a U.S. Army. Pulls up there. We look, and sure enough, a lot of guys get out. A whole bunch of guys. He said, wow, whew. And we're watching, and about 30 guys get out of the bus. And we're looking at, we're all excited. So, gee, and sure enough, they begin to drift over one by one, and they're looking around, they're fooling. And then they get back in the bus, and they go away. Yeah, we're very excited now. That was them, the New York Giants. Because they were in civilian clothes, see? It's the Giants. Whew! And we're waiting very excitedly. Now it is noon. It's getting a little warm, you see. It's now 12:30. Somebody runs down to the PX and gets us a bunch of Milky Way bars, and we're holding a seat. There's nobody else has arrived yet. It's all four of us. We're holding the seats there. So don't. Now, if they start coming, you're home. I'm sitting here, see? I don't care if it is a master sergeant. Hit him. I'm sitting. I've been here since tomorrow. Here, I'll leave my cap. No, better not. I'll leave my shoe here. There, my shoe. And that was that kind of a scene. We're waiting excitedly. Well, to make a long story even more dismal, roughly about 1 o'clock, there are now about 25 guys in the stands, a scattering of guys. And sure enough, the bus arrives back. Apparently they have taken them somewhere where the officers eat and have fed these guys or something. And now they get out of the bus, Eddie, and they are wearing baseball suits. Yep, they have dressed, and they got real and they're the Giants. It says Giants. They got the white uniforms, with the blue hats, NY. It's the Giants, and there's 20 of us, all from the Midwest. And these guys come running out on the field, they're throwing around, they're fooling around. And of course, we're looking, we don't know what to say, wow. And there's a first baseman where I'm sitting on the first baseline. There's a guy about 9 feet away from me. He's the first baseman of the Giants. And they're tossing the ball back and forth, these guys, whipping it around. And we don't know who the post team is. You say, who's the post team? We never heard about a post team, the post team. And about 10 minutes later, a big Army bus arrived. And you should have seen it. A bunch of guys get out who were at least 12 and a half feet tall. Out of our, and they got suits on. And it says on the front of them, Monmouth. These guys are monsters. And they get out, and what happens? We can't believe it. They're walking out on the field, and they all know each other. Hey, Phil, for crying out loud, hey, Phil, oh. And they're hitting each other and shaking and yelling. And I can't. What kind of who are these guys? These guys who are supposed to be us. They're representing us. And they know the first baseman is a guy named Phil Weintraub. Any of you ever hear of Phil Weintraub? He was right in front of me. He was playing first base for the wartime Giants. I will tell you, Weintraub is hitting this guy in the back, and they're yelling at each other. And Bill Jurgis is playing shortstop for the wartime Giants. Famous shortstop, and he's yelling and hollering at all these soldiers. I thought, for crying out, what is this? Wow. And by this time, the fans, begin to show up, and about 10 minutes before game time, there's about 100 guys, 20 of which are from Midwest, all sitting awed, and the other 60 guys are hippies from New York who know every one of these guys. Hey, Phil! Oh, for crying out loud! Manny! Oh, and they're hitting each other. They're all friends, I don't know what is it. And I'm watching the big league ball game. Well, to make the long story even sadder, the first inning goes this way. The New York Giant pitcher is out there. Little did I realize I was watching wartime baseball. He winds up, and the first one of the Fort Monmouth soldiers belts a ball about 590 feet. Pow! And he tears around second, tears into third, comes across that home plate without even breathing hard. Little did I realize that almost every one of the Giants, the real New York Giants, were at Monmouth. And our pitcher was a man named Darius Musso. Did you ever hear of Musso, who pitched with the Yankees? Belts balls for miles. It was an in-group and an in-group and an in-group and an in-group.